All right, we're going to get started. Welcome to Wednesday. I know that's kind of weird. So this week we have just a couple things going on. We are going to review a little bit of 7.4 today, or 7.4, 7.2 today. And then you'll have a quiz, a review and a quiz to take care of. And then at the end of the week, we are going to talk about some divisibility rules, things, ways that we can tell if a number is evenly divisible by a different number without actually having to divide it out, which will lead us into the work we're going to do next week. Again, if you have anything from chapter 4, lessons 5 or 6, make sure you get that done. It is in the chapter 4 folder, which is now in gray, probably toward the bottom of the list in your Schoology page for algebra. Also, if you have anything left to do for 7.1 or 7.2 homework or note checks, make sure you get those taken care of. We are going to re-look at a few problems from 7.2. So if you have your packet, that would be a good place to be open to, pages 7 through 10. And if you want to try to stay on schedule, the review and the quiz, I would say get those done by Thursday night. And then the 7.3 note check and homework, make sure, if you, again, to stay on schedule, those should be done by Sunday night. All right, and then missing work once you finish that stuff. All right. So I'm going to just talk real quick about some of these things that we did last week, starting with multiplying monomials. Remember, a monomial is simply anything that does not have addition or subtraction. It's all multiplication. So when we multiply monomials, we multiply the coefficient, and then we deal with the variables. So in this case, 3 times -2 is -6. And for the variables, when we multiply, we add their exponents. So in this case, it would be 2 plus 1 or 3. A little bit different than when we're adding or subtracting. Remember, adding or subtracting polynomials, we change the number in front. The variable and exponents stay the same. Multiplying, everything can change. Here's another example, -7x to the 3rd power times 1x to the 4th power. Again, multiply the numbers out front. I know it's early, and I hope this one doesn't tax you too much. -7 times 1 is -7. Add my exponents, 3 plus 4 is 7. So -7 x to the 7th. After that, we started talking about, well, what happens if we have a monomial times a polynomial? How does that change? And so in this case, we're looking at -4x to the 3rd times x squared plus 3x minus 4. And we said With this one, what we're going to do is use the distributive property. So I'm going to apologize. I'm trying to finish up attendance here. So we use the distributive property. We're going to take that negative 4x to the third and multiply that by everything, by each term in the parentheses. So we would get negative 4, clean that up a little bit, x to the third times x squared plus negative 4 x to the third times 3x plus negative 4 x to the third times minus 4. And now it's just multiplying 3 pairs of monomials. So it's just like the first couple of examples we looked at. Again, this is like 1x squared. So I multiply negative 4 times 1. Add my exponents. 3 plus 2 gives me x to the 5th. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. X to the third times x to the first, add my exponents. 3 plus 1 is 4. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. And we just have x cubed. So that's going to be in our answer. All right. Moving on, then we talked about binomials and multiplying binomials. And we talked about 2 different methods for multiplying binomials. We talked about the box method and we talked about the FOIL method. Again, both methods work. It does not matter which one you use. So use whichever one you're most comfortable with. I'll show both. The box method for this first one. So we draw a box. I always put that circle in the middle. And we divide that box by the terms that are on the outside. Multiplying x times x. We get x squared. Over to this box, we take x times a positive 5. To the box in the lower left, we take positive 8 times x. And the lower right, positive 8 times positive 5. The only thing we would have left to do is combine our like terms. And again, one of the reasons I like the box method, especially for a binomial times a binomial, it sets those like terms up on opposite sides of that circle. Actually, that's why I put the circle there. because my like terms are going to go inside, and then my answer can be found in that diagonal if it's a binomial times a binomial. The other method we talked about was FOIL. And just as a reminder, FOIL means you're multiplying the first, outer, inner, last. Some people say outside, inside. So what that means is we multiply the first term in each binomial. 2 times 3 is 6. X times x is x squared. Again, that would be this upper left-hand corner if we use the box method. Then we take the outer term, so the outside term on the first binomial is 2x. The outside term on the second binomial is the 5. So that gives us 10x. And that would be one of the two, either the upper right or the lower left box in the box method. Inner, in this case, it's -1 times 3x. And the last term in each binomial, -1 times 5. And we have our like terms. So we want to combine those. 10x minus 3x, well, 10 minus 3 is 7. The x doesn't change. And we have that product. We then talked about two special cases. We have the case if we have a perfect square binomial or a binomial that's being squared. You could use the box method. You could use the FOIL method for this one. If you use the box or the FOIL method, just remember 5x minus 3 squared just means you're taking 5x minus 3 times 5x minus 3. So if you were using box or FOIL, you just have to remember that there are two binomials there that you're multiplying. If you're using the formula for the square of a binomial, we had this idea where we square the first term plus 2 times the first term times the second term plus the square of the second term. In this case, our A is 5x, our B is -3. Important to have that negative. So if I plug those in, my 5x minus 3 squared would be 5x, that whole thing squared, plus 2 times 5x times -3 plus -3 squared. 5x squared, so that's 5x times 5x. 5 times 5 is 25. X times x is x squared. 2 times 5x times -3, well, 2 times 5 is 10, times -3 is -30, and we have that x. And then -3 squared is +9. So there is our binomial squared. The other one is if we had the product of a sum and a difference. And again, you could use FOIL, you could use the box, both would work. Or you can remember the shortcut. If you have a plus b times a minus b, you end up with a squared minus b squared. And I'll be honest, in my early algebra days, this is the one I memorized. I didn't memorize the perfect square or the binomial squared until later in my algebra career. So in this case, a is 5x, b is 7. So we get 5x times 5x is 25x squared. 7 times 7 is 49. And that will always have a subtraction in between. All right, last bit was multiplying a binomial and a trinomial. And you could use an extended FOIL method. In this case, I really like the box method. I mean, I like it for a binomial times a binomial as well. But for a trinomial times a binomial, I think the box method works really slick. I always put my trinomial on the top and my binomial down the left-hand side. It just makes it a little bit easier to deal with. And then multiply. And again, it doesn't matter what order you multiply in, as long as you get each of the terms of the trinomial times each of the terms of the binomial. So if you wanted to do the bottom first, you certainly could. You could do 4 times x squared. You could do 4 times 2x, that's plus 8x. Should say that's plus 4x squared. 4 times minus 1 is minus 4. 3x times x squared is 3x cubed. 3x times 2x is 6x squared, and it's positive. 3x times negative 1 is minus 3x. The reason I like the box method, if I do it with my trinomial on the top and my binomial on the side, and I have like terms, they're going to line up on opposite sides of that circle. 4x squared plus 6x squared is a total of 10x squared. 8x minus 3x is positive 5x. And now my answer kind of snakes through there. I get 3x squared. I'm sorry, I get 3x cubed, or 3x to the third power. Plus 10x squared plus 5x minus 4. Excuse me. All right. So that's just a quick review of 7.4. And what I will do is go into breakout rooms and have a little chat with each of you, and then release you for the day. Homework is posted already, and you should be able to access it. I'll double check to make sure it's enabled for submissions. And then we'll, like I said, we'll meet and talk.